While the streets knew Lil Jeff as the savage drill rapper who killed his ops and rapped about the hit, not everyone knows that he killed cops too. Every gangbanger knows not to run up on a police officer, but this new terrifying footage shows that Lil Jeff had no mercy on law enforcement. But did he bite off more than he could chew? Let's break it all down. Lil Jeff versus the law. It is no longer news on the street that death saved Lil Jeff from the horror lurking for him behind prison bars. Word on the street was that the Chicago Police Department had all hands on deck for his arrest as the mastermind behind the chilling murder of 2 high school boys, captured on camera. Surveillance footage shows Lil Rob and Monty casually walking toward the elevator structure, completely oblivious of the terror ahead of them. If you look to the right, you will see the moment a dark-colored SUV pulled up from underneath the train tracks. One person pulled out of the car, approached the boys in a frenzy, and opened fire on them. As soon as the targets are hit, the shooter rushes back to the vehicle and takes off toward Wabash and South, then turns left on Madison and escapes. Although the surveillance footage captured only one vehicle pulled up for the hit, according to CPD Deputy Chief John, 2 cars pulled up and fired multiple shots at a group of teenage boys.
When 2 cars pulled up and a group of individuals exited said vehicles, fired multiple times, striking 2 of the teenage students of Innovations High School. These individuals were taken to Northwestern Hospital where they succumbed to their injuries.
Chief John also identified the victims as 16-year-old Robert Boston and 17-year-old Monterio Williams, known on the street as Lil Rob and Monty. The hit was strategic, swift, and terrific. Eyewitnesses said over 10 to 15 rounds of gunshots rang out, and within a split second, the shooters took off. Local shopkeeper Mohammed Ashik described the shots from his point of view as sounding like firecrackers.
Like a firecracker, like something like a firecracker, like a 10-15 shot. Boom, 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 boom.
If the shot sounded like a firecracker, that means that at least one of the shooter's pistols was probably equipped with a switch that sounded like explosives. The shopkeeper described ducking for cover while gunshots filled the air and the emotional aftermath of the hit.
Everybody looking right and left, over there has a people crying, kids crying,
Another eyewitness at the scene said she was grazed by one of the bullets while on the sidewalk to her studio. She spoke to news reporters and even showed them the bullet hole in her coat.
Went through my arm, but just like passing by, and yeah, here.
How are you feeling right now?
Super anxious and sad, and I was afraid that it hit me too by accident.
Most eyewitnesses described the hit as ambush style. At the time, the Chicago Police Department launched an immediate investigation to determine the motive for the hit and to identify suspects. According to CBS News, the tragic incident unfolded at the Innovations High School located in downtown Chicago in an area known as Loop. At about 12:30 noon, Lil Rob and BKN Monty were heading out of school for a lunch break towards Washington Street and Wabash Avenue. As busy as that location was, as soon as Monty and Lil Rob arrived, 2 cars pulled over and rained bullets on them. The family of the victim spoke about the tragic incident, that the boys were goal-oriented, all about school and learning a trade to earn a living before death ran up on them.
The 16-year-old just had a smile, that he kept a smile. The 17-year-old, he was just trying to work hard to just go into the trade business.
The spokesperson for the families condemned the killing, saying that no one has the right to take another man's life in such a brutal way as this. He also revealed that one of the boys' birthdays was fast approaching, at the time before his days were cut short. The news of the double homicide sent shockwaves across the city as residents began to fear for their safety. The mayor of the city, Brandon Johnson, quickly put out a statement saying, "My deepest condolences to their families and the Innovations High School community as they grapple with unimaginable pain and trauma caused by this senseless act of violence. It was a brutal hit and the entire city was mourning." Oh, not the entire city per se, because shortly after the hit, the mastermind of the hit would go on to brag about the operation. First, he hopped on IG Live and started making comments hinting that he just dropped 2 bodies, adding to his body count.
The shit will start happening, and y'all know this by now. I went black for like a week, and poof. Gotta go after that one. Poof. I came back. Poof. Long live the
For context, this comment tried to explain what Lil Jeff was talking about. He sat around mad, angry, and depressed for a week about them watches they stole from him. He blacked out. Lil Jeff just snitched on himself, and people were wondering why he was not arrested. The first reaction to the video was straight up the most asked question: how bro didn't get arrested. This user seems to have answered that when he said, "Everyone keeps asking how he didn't go to jail for it. The feds will let you sit and think that you got away with something like that. Let your money build up like your case, and they gon' get you cause solving a murder doesn't pay them that much as Rico Draco's and drug case pay, so they gon' let you case build. Well, that makes sense. That is why another user thinks that even if he didn't die, he would have been arrested within weeks. This dude wasn't a real killer. He couldn't help but tell on himself. He told on himself an insane amount on camera for someone who only made it 3 weeks after, jumping off the porch. Well, it turned out Lil Jeff was not capping on that IG Live. Almost a year after the hit, the Chicago Police Department hit a milestone in their investigation and began making arrests. The first suspect was identified as Tommy Coleman, an affiliate of Lil Jeff and the Bloodhounds. He was arrested on the 5700 block of North Mason and hit with double murder charges. Then earlier this year, a second suspect was identified as 20-year-old James Allison, known on the street as J-Mo Bloodhound. He was arrested by officers of CPD and U.S. Marshals on February 3rd, 2025. Word on the street was that J-Mo attended the same Innovations High School as Monty and Lil Rob. Then someone wondered how J-Mo was 19 and still in high school, but here's an explanation. He said that he failed on purpose to stay behind and keep sliming out his ops. Well, what an excuse for failing. Interestingly, this series of arrests resulted from an extreme degree of self-snitching by Lil Jeff and his hitmen in songs and on social media. But the big question is, what went down on the street that called for such a brutal murder? What went down? Bloodhound Lil Jeff gave props to his friend Vert as the guy who introduced him to rap music and the corners of the street. Early videos show Vert hanging out with other kids from Drill City and Trap City. During this time, Trap City and Drill City were still cool. Well, Vert would go on to make friends on the west side of Chicago in an area known as the Jungle. A Facebook post from 2021 shows that the relationship between Vert and his friends from the Jungle continued into their adult years. On the other hand, the Jungle Boys are closely affiliated with a nearby set in the hood known as the BKN or Nitty Block, named after a Jungle member, Frank Nitty, who was killed in 2019. It appears that Vert drew Lil Jeff to the Jungle Boys, as this video shows Lil Jeff flexing guns with some members of the BKN. However, this relationship was short-lived as 2 BKN boys allegedly backdoored them and robbed Lil Jeff of his watches. From there came terror. During one of his self-snitching tours, Lil Jeff dropped hints about the murder of Lil Rob and Monty, where he explained why the 2 boys had to go. Are you still wondering what Bloodhound Lil Jeff did in that situation? Here's the backstory. Back in the day, Lil Rob and Monty allegedly robbed Lil Jeff of his pieces of jewelry. As disrespectful as that was, the boys would hop on the internet to start a spree of trolling and disses directed at the Bloodhounds. The BKN boys bragged about the robbery and claimed the jewelry they got was fake.
Tell the op. We got like 50K down. That's fake. AP they got.
Lil Rob and Monty flexed about the bounty price and showed off 2 watches grabbed from the hit. Hilariously, one of the watches was a fake iced watch designed to look like an original AP timepiece. Almost immediately, a Reddit user noted that iced out watch had a GLD logo on the clasp. It's an online jewelry store that specializes in plated jewelry, aka fake. When the news hit the street, Lil Jeff hopped on IG Live claiming that nobody took anything from him by force. The boys wanted to take a look and ran off when he wasn't noticing.
On my dead grandmother's head, if I'm lying, I'm down. God could come pull me out this car right now. I never took a dollar from
nothing.
A nigga said, let me take a picture, this, that, and that. I look up, the nigga then ran down. We all the way at the top of the staircase first off.
Shortly after, a YouTuber, Word from the Trenches, would get Monty and some BKN members on his vlog, where they repeatedly flexed the watches they stole and bragged about the operation. On the same vlog, Monty got a FaceTime call from Bloodhound Lil Jeff. In the intense conversation, Monty started by asking Lil Jeff where the J at, meaning where is that jewelry, then proceeded to show off the watch he stole from him. All the BKN boys did on that vlog was disrespect Lil Jeff and troll the entire Bloodhound. It's January 26, 2024. BKN Monty and another member of the BKN or Jungle Boys will go to school at the Innovations High School located in downtown Chicago, where their death awaits them. There and then, they became numbers on Lil Jeff's body count. But here's another question. What ultimately severed the alliance between Drill City and Trap City, leading to this violence? For Bloodhound Jeff, their feud started with the death of his cousin Z Money. The start of 2022 ushered in a new personality and sound in the Chicago drill scene, Bloodhound Lil Jeff. Although Lil Jeff credited the start of his rap career to his friend Vert, it was his gruesome lyrics and violent videos that gained him popularity and credibility in the culture. Lil Jeff was eager to rap out the violence in him and to make it known to the street that he was a gangster. He once rapped about his mom saying she told him every day that she prays I make it home, and he told her that it's okay. He was the one doing all the killing. However, when he realized how cold his rap lyrics were, he quickly flipped and announced that it was all a joke and just music. It was all fake. But that's not even the point. One thing to note was that particular track was a tribute to his brother J Boogie, who was locked up behind bars. Now with J Boogie in jail, Lil Jeff's cousin Z Money stepped in and started playing the role of an elder brother to Lil Jeff. He helped do his dirty work for him. He gave him the spotlight while playing the role of a background director. However, Lil Jeff and the entire Bloodhound gang would be faced with one of the most devastating losses that would sever the street alliances between trap and drill cities. In 2023, a decade-long alliance between Trap City and Drill City will come to an abrupt end following the death of Z Money, Lil Jeff's backbone on the street. On the hot afternoon of the 16th of March, 2023, Lil Jeff's cousin and best friend Z Money met his death in a tragic and very mysterious manner. According to news reports, Z Money was in his car on the 1300 block of East 79th Street, near the 79th intersection in Kimbark. He was in the Avalon Park neighborhood in the parking lot of a dry cleaner store. There, the tragedy unlocked. It was reported that a car approached Z Money in the neighborhood and began to fire shots in his direction. Z Money was rushed to the University of Chicago Medical Center. Unfortunately, there he breathed his last. Z Money's unfathomable death was a painful loss to the Bloodhounds, but most especially to Lil Jeff, who had enjoyed Z Money's protection since his brother was incarcerated. After the murder, Lil Jeff and his right-hand man Q50 would go on to tattoo Z Money's name on their skin as a tribute to their fallen hero. In 2023, a nonprofit newsroom covering gun violence in America, known as The Trace, reported on Z Money's case where they captured his mother's heartbreaking voice concerning her son's death. She recounted that she got a call from Z Money's girlfriend informing her that Z Money was dead. She said she called the Chicago Medical Center and confirmed the news, but she had to go there and see for herself. On getting there, she said the doctor told her that he was dead on arrival. Then she proceeded to ask about how many times her son was shot. The doctor answered, "We stopped counting at 29. Sadly, that day, Z Money became one of the 4,000 people who were fatally shot in Chicago over the last 10 years, whose murderers still walk the street without any arrests, according to Chicago Police Department data. With many homicides left unsolved, thousands of families and friends are left looking over their shoulders in their neighborhoods. However, just when the situation was cooling off, the rumors about Z Money's killer's identity began to circulate. On Reddit, it was rumored that Z Money was backdoored by his old friends at Trap City. With this devastating revelation came the birth of a new monster on the street known as Bloodhound Lil Jeff. It was a swift transition almost everyone noticed. While the street was startled by the demise of Z Money, a young boy was transformed from Jeffrey Harris into Lil Jeff, also known as the Pistol Professor. But as you may already know, the day Lil Jeff stormed the street, his days were numbered. How Lil Jeff was killed on camera. Interestingly, the events of Lil Jeff's death are perhaps the most dramatic turn of events in the Chicago drill scene. Lil Jeff literally died trying to do what he knew how to do best, which is killing for the fun of it. I remember one of Lil Jeff's lyrics where he said, "Every time he sees an op, he drops his mask and swings the door." Well, as it turned out, Lil Jeff never joked about a thing he rapped about. The most devastating event to have hit the Bloodhounds happened in the broad daylight of June 8th, 2024. On that day, Bloodhound Lil Jeff, Q50, and one other guy were caught standing on business. In surveillance footage that was later released, Lil Jeff and his gang were seen literally swinging the door and jumping off the car to smoke a rival gang member in the heart of Trap City. In the footage, which I can't show you in full because of its gruesome nature, the people in the black SUV are Lil Jeff's homies. They dropped out of the car and started firing shots at a young man on South Road Avenue. If you look closely, you will see that while the car was parked, the squad sighted the target and Lil Jeff quickly swung the door open and started letting out shots. The target, wearing bright yellow shorts, quickly ducks behind a car and eventually runs into the porch of a building while still being shot at by Lil Jeff. Hold up, I knew Chicago was a crazy place as soon as I saw Lil Jeff wearing a black Nike hoodie and gray Nike. Joggers chasing his target straight into their home where he met his end. Word on the street is that after Lil Jeff spotted this guy, he went all in chasing and shooting at him. For some reason, his homies did not go with him. They stood by their car while letting out shots at the gray car. As soon as Lil Jeff hit the target, he chased him right into the porch like it was in the movies. However, a bleak tragedy was just about to unfold. The rapper and killer who had fantasized about chasing an op into their home numerous times in his music finally fulfilled his fantasy, only that this was a one-time only experience for Lil Jeff. Someone from the house counterattacked Lil Jeff, sending him out head over heels with bullets to the ground, and there lying lifeless was the man called Bloodhound Lil Jeff. The word on the street was that Lil Jeff's shooter emptied the whole magazine on him. In the same video, Q50 and the other guy could be seen running to the porch trying to cover Lil Jeff, but the shooter rained hell that the two had to settle for finding a way out of the crossfire. As soon as Lil Jeff's death reached social media, fans and colleagues began to upload tributes in respect to the fallen monster. Lil Scoom89, a close associate of the Bloodhounds, posted a series of stories following the murder, mourning his friend. "I love you, I'ma be with you real soon," he wrote, adding, "Damn brother, this shit don't feel real. Another artist and video creator, AMF Visuals, posted a story as well with a picture of Bloodhound Lil Jeff and a heartbreak emoji. Both AMF Visuals and Lil Jeff produced a music video titled Ah earlier last year, and I remember when I first heard that song, I liked it and I really vibed to it. It took me a while to realize that Lil Jeff was rapping about the high school double homicide, and the ah was the sound one of the victims made while breathing their last breath. However, as expected, fans of the drill culture and other users of the internet reacted to Lil Jeff's death in different ways. One comment quickly pointed out, "The energy you put out always comes back to you." Another user added, "Trying to chase somebody into their own house off the street is the ultimate crash out move." Well, I bet Lil Jeff thought he was face to face with his fantasies. But take a look at this comment which tried to compare Lil Jeff and King Von, given that most people have called them two of one. I feel like Von represented Chicago more than Jeff because yes, Jeff was a window into the streets of the modern day Chicago wars, but Von was more of what happens to most gang members in Chicago. Von actually went to jail for bodies and beat it and was in the wars for like a decade straight. Also, he started really young like most gang members, Von's story. If you are a fan of Chicago drill rap or like me, you follow the music, events, and news from the Chicago rap scene, then you must have noticed that Lil Jeff's artistry and rise to fame are based on the same qualities that made King Von such an interesting artist in the Chicago drill game. In fact, some fans believe that Lil Jeff did more street exploits than King Von. Let's not forget when Lil Jeff updated his Instagram with a photo showing new tattoos on his neck area. The tats were designed in the shape of teardrops, each representing a kill. He then captioned the post, "Go do the math, if you know you know." Damn, Chicago is not for everyone. Young dudes always acting like the police don't exist. He even insinuated that he has more bodies than Bill Russell. Championship rings wins, he said. "If I catch one more, I'm like Bill Russell. You know I really play ball." Don't take this as a joke because while I was researching Lil Jeff's body counts, I came across this post in the Chiricology subreddit alleging that Lil Jeff dropped bodies in Milwaukee. Word on the street was that Lil Jeff was respected in Milwaukee because he was paid to kill 2 people. Come to think of it, is that why Lil Jeff molded his persona after the Milwaukee serial killer Jeffrey Dahmer? Lil Jeff Dahmer of Chicago Drill. That's a name fit for his exploits. But it is pathetic, although a natural order of things, that Lil Jeff was killed by the same violence he so much glorified. But here is another question. Who killed Lil Jeff? As soon as the news of Lil Jeff's death hit the street, the city of Chicago was startled by a series of trolling on the Reddit community, with most of the disses directed at the hood allegedly responsible for sending Lil Jeff back to his maker to protect their own. Someone said, "Trap City is in danger forever now." While the trolling was ongoing, some people were dedicated to identifying the man who rained bullets on Bloodhound Lil Jeff. As expected, the members of Chiricology, a subreddit for discussing Chicago drill culture, wasted no time identifying the killer. 2 days following the murder of Bloodhound Jeff, discussions on Chiricology alleged that the shooter was none other than Trap City Rob. This is largely because Trap City Rob, or iTrap Rob, has been arrested several times at the apartment where the shots that took Lil Jeff out were fired. Dramatically, within a short time, a photoshopped picture of iTrap Rob holding a football award began to circulate the internet, with most people praising him as the Defensive Player of the Year. Simultaneously, Rob's photo was going viral with the caption "Wanted." On June 16th, Chiricology featured a new post showing Trap City Rob's photograph barely a week after Lil Jeff's murder. Within the hour, some people observed that in that picture, Rob was wearing a shirt that appeared to be a troll to Jeff and how he died. However, tracing back to the roots of the matter, there was a time when Trap City Rob used to hang out with some members of the Bloodhound as throwback pictures, show Rob in a pose with Bloodhound Vert and another man whose face I'm not familiar with. Interestingly, to set the narrative straight, Trap City Rob, or Unc Rob as he's been called today, was granted an interview in the hood to say his part of the story. Reddit users refer to Trap City Rob as UNT Rob largely because of the age difference between Lil Jeff and Rob. Apparently, while Lil Jeff belongs to the Gen Z set of Chicago rappers, Rob is evidently older and more likely a millennial, hence he is referred to as Uncle Rob. Rob alongside his day one homies, Terror and OTF Black, were filmed standing by the porch while observing their left and right for any possible threat. Interestingly, Rob opened the interview by denying his internet-imposed status of being the OG shooter who took out Lil Jeff.
Hey Rob, man.
I don't even think you need no introduction at this point, my boy.
Nah, I do, man.
Okay, for sure.
Trap City. Rob considered it necessary to begin the interview by clearing out the rumor about his involvement in Bloodhound Jeff's murder because, at the time, the investigation was underway. However, documents show that Trap City Rob, born Robert Coleman, was arrested in connection to the homicide. Authorities believe there was probable cause for the arrest of Trap City Rob because a witness identified and placed him at the crime scene where the shooting that killed Lil Jeff took place. According to the document, surveillance officers spotted Trap City Rob entering and leaving his apartment on S. Rhodes Avenue armed with a black firearm. It is important to mention that the surveillance officers were aware that Trap City Rob was a convicted felon and gun offender who was not supposed to own a firearm at any point in time. According to the report, when the police officer tried to get Trap City Rob under custody, Rob pulled away and refused to follow verbal instructions. He used dead weight to stiffen his body, making it difficult for the officer to handcuff him. The report states that Trap City Rob left the officer no choice but to employ control techniques, escort holds, and emergency takedown to get the arrestee in custody. However, following Trap City Rob's arrest, a series of reactions and rising controversies erupted on Reddit. One user commented, "I ain't well versed on Illinois self-defense laws, but it is insane to me that anybody would be charged with murder in this situation. Was it because they kept shooting him?" In a shocking turn of events, an investigation into Trap City Rob's involvement in the homicide failed to prove that Rob was the actual shooter. As a result, the murder charge labeled against him was dropped, but because he was caught with a gun as a convicted felon, the gun charge would stick and he will probably get some time in jail. When the news began to circulate that Lil Jeff was killed by iTrap Rob, a fan declared, "He killed Lil Rob. Now he got by Big Rob." Although a funny remark, it goes to show how there is no way out of gang violence other than death. But here is a big question. If the police drop Trap City Rob's murder charge, that means the shooter is out there. Who could that be? I stumbled across the words of a Reddit user, which I'd like to leave you with. I said Rob ain't pull it. The real shooter we will probably never know because they are lying low and not publicly claiming it. If you enjoyed this video, click the card showing on your screen for more videos.